Hi everyone, it's Adaline Bebo, and today I'm kicking off a new series on rolls. And I'm willing to bet that just about everyone has a love-hate relationship with rolls, including myself, so I'm excited to come through with some helpful tips and tricks to help you master them. But before getting started and jumping into those dreaded FUJIMI rolls, also known as cutbacks, I want to lay some ground rules for some fundamental, universal rules for rolling. The first universal rule for rolling is to let your rolls roll. And let me tell you, I wish I had $1 for every time I was told this in my twirling career, but there's really a lot of truth to it. Rule number 2 is don't cheat or grab your rolls. In my mind, the definition of a roll is being able to manipulate the baton around your body without grabbing it. So grabbing it defeats the purpose, and it will significantly decrease your points when you're performing in a competition. Rule number 3 is to feel the weight of the baton and don't try to force in any way or any one direction or another. That really comes back to rule number 1, which is let your rolls roll. Rule number 4 is to drill, drill, drill. Mastery in your rolls comes through so much practice and timing and figuring out what works best for you. And that brings me to rule number 5, which is to never be afraid to experiment with your rolls. For me, so many of my very favorite roll combinations came through me attempting to do rolls that I'd seen other people do, but ultimately came out looking a totally different way and became sort of what I was known for. So never be afraid to experiment and try things your own way, as long as you don't cheat and grab them. But with that, I'm excited to jump into the FUJIMI rolls, so let's get rolling. The first step to a FUJIMI roll is the entrance into the roll. And the most basic way that you can do this is through an elbow retraction roll. To do this, you do a hand roll right in front of you, and you bring your elbow in to here. And it should be received right here at the bottom of your shoulder, right at the top of this little muscle. There's a little nook right here, and then it should be matched up right on your elbow. And be sure to keep that elbow nice and flat like a tabletop. And when you come in here, that's the entrance into the FUJIMI roll. The next, and arguably the most important part of the FUJIMI roll, is what the body is doing. So to do a FUJIMI roll, I face directly to the side. My feet are parallel and shoulder width apart. And when I do this, as I roll from front to back, I shift my weight from my left to my right. And I point that toe, obviously, but also what your shoulders are doing. So when you're rolling, your shoulders should come square to the front and square to the back each time. And if they're not perfectly square, that's how you can get into some trouble. Your rolls will be off pattern and they just won't work as well. So be sure to focus on the body first and what it should be doing, and then you can add the roll later. So the next part of the roll, after you've done the entrance into the roll, is the roll from the front to the back, and that's the first half of the FUJIMI roll. And to practice this, you should enter from here. So it's on your right elbow going from left to right, and when it hits this vertical point here, that's when you want to think about scooping your arm underneath the baton and moving it from front to back. The important and the interesting part about this is that the baton itself is really just doing this in a FUJIMI roll, but it's your elbows that are facilitating it. So when you're going from the front, you roll here, and you do a slight little lift just to scoop your arm up and then under the baton to get to the back and have it stop right here in front of you. The next component of a FUJIMI roll is kind of a hidden component. You don't really think about it until you're doing the roll all together, but that's the double elbow roll that happens right in the middle of both of the segments, both the front to back and the back to front. So when you go from the front to the back, as you're transferring arms, there's this double elbow roll that happens just like that. So it goes this way. And when you're in the front, after you've come from the back to the front, you're going to do another double elbow roll to switch arms again. So be sure that you're proficient in that move before continuing. The next component is the back to front, and it's very similar to the front to back, it's just obviously on the other arm. So this time we're going to start with our tabletop on our left arm. We're going to start it on the right side of the arm, and you're going to push it from right to left. You're facing the back here, you're going to go right to left, scoop it up and under, get underneath that baton and bring it to the front here. Be sure to practice each of these components separately and make sure that it's nice and easy. This little fishtail motion that you do with your elbow, it's similar to your fishtails on your hands, but it's on your elbow, and that's what makes the FUJIMI roll. So be sure that you focus on staying up and under the baton. It's really important to feel the weight and follow it. Okay, for the sake of completeness, I'm going to teach you an exit out of the Fujimi roll. Obviously, the first part is to get the Fujimi roll itself before you can get the exit properly. But one of my favorite ways to get out of it is an elbow extension roll. And it's exactly the opposite of the retraction that we did in the beginning. But what you're going to do is you're just going to extend your elbow out and receive it in your hand. Okay, so this is going to sound crazy, but for me, this is one of the most helpful tips that I ever received when it comes to Fujimi rolls. And that's to practice it with a broomstick. Here I just have a plain broomstick. I took the broom end off so that the weight is even on both sides. And in order to understand how you're going to get underneath the baton and give you just a little bit more length to work with, you can practice each of these components using a broomstick. So we'll go over them all again one more time. You have the retraction roll, you have the front to back, you have the double elbow roll that happens here, you have the back to front, and up in the front you also have another double elbow roll. And when you put them all together, it looks like this. And trust me, like I said, it sounds crazy, but giving yourself that extra length and leverage to work with can really help you conceptualize the flow of a Fujimi roll a little bit better. So I encourage you to try this at home. Feel the weight of the baton and be sure to stay underneath it. Give it a solid surface to roll on top of. I highly recommend you film yourself or watch videos of other twirlers in order to understand the timing of this roll a little bit better. Keep your shoulders down and your fingers together. Roll excellence comes with hours and hours of training. So I encourage you to set checkpoint goals for yourself and don't forget to celebrate the little victories along the way. I highly recommend celebrating any number of rolls with an ice cream cone. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below to let me know what kind of tips and tricks you want to see next. And until then, happy rolling.